Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Oldson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Today I'm doing something a little different. I've noticed the same handful of myths come up over and over again in my practice. Sometimes a client says them to me directly. Other times, I can just tell they're operating under one of these beliefs because of the choices they're making. So today and next week, I'm going to walk through my top 10 weight loss myths, the ones I hear most often, and tell you what the research actually says. In this two-part series, we'll cover myths 1 through 5 today, and next week we'll finish 6 through 10. Let's go. Myth number 1. Weight loss is simply calories in versus calories out. I've talked about this way back in episode 4 and many times since then because it's one of the most important foundational shifts that I think we all need to make about weight loss. It's worth revisiting because this myth is incredibly persistent. On paper, it might sound airtight. Eat fewer calories than you burn, and you'll lose weight. The problem isn't that the equation is wrong, it's that it's incomplete. Here's why. In 2019, NIH researcher Kevin Hall and his team brought 20 adults into a metabolic ward for a month and fed them 2 diets, 2 weeks each. One made of ultra-processed foods, one made of minimally processed whole foods, matched for calories, sugar, fat, fiber, and macronutrients on paper. Allowed to eat as much or as little as they wanted, people ate about 500 more calories per day on the ultra-processed diet without realizing it, and they gained weight. On the whole food or minimally processed diet, they lost weight. They discovered that foods with ultra-processed ingredients left people less satisfied and hungrier sooner than foods without these ingredients. So calories genuinely matter in the sense that portion size matters, but the type of food you eat has a powerful effect on how many calories you end up consuming, often without willpower being involved at all. Ultra-processed foods make it easy to overeat. Whole or unprocessed foods make it easier to stop when you're full. Focus on food quality and the calorie balance tends to take care of itself. Myth number 2. There's one best diet for weight loss. I covered this in episode 2, and I still get asked constantly whether keto, which is high in fat, low fat, low carb, high protein, intermittent fasting, or some other approach is the best one. I can't emphasize enough that no single diet has proven superior for all of us. The clearest evidence comes from the Diet Fits trial published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, in 2018 by Christopher Gardner and colleagues at Stanford. Over 600 adults were randomized to a healthy low-fat diet or a healthy low-carb diet for a full year. And at the end, there was no significant difference in weight loss between the groups. The researchers even tested whether genetics or insulin levels predicted which diet would work better for whom, hoping to personalize the recommendation, but they didn't find a link. What did predict success? Diet quality. People in both groups who cut back on added sugar and refined grains and leaned into vegetables and whole foods did better, regardless of which macronutrient camp they were in. The best diet isn't a specific plan that tells you to eat this on Monday and that on Tuesday. It's the one built on minimally processed real food that you can actually sustain. Generally speaking, I find that any diet that glorifies or demonizes fats, proteins, or carbs is going to be less helpful than one focused on eating simple, minimally processed foods within each category. Myth number 3. Fat makes you fat, and all fat is bad. You know, in my home, fat is called the F word. We don't say it about people, only about ingredients or the macronutrient content of food. But in this context, I'm repeating the myth about fat making you fat that I hear verbatim from people I work with. The fact that fat doesn't make you fat is one myth that still surprises people. Foods like nuts, avocados, salmon, and plain Greek yogurt are relatively high in fat, and I still meet people who avoid them for that reason alone. One of the best pieces of evidence against this myth is the PREDIMED trial, a large randomized controlled trial out of Spain published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Researchers put over 7,400 adults at high risk of cardiovascular disease on a Mediterranean diet with extra olive oil, a Mediterranean diet with extra nuts, or a standard low-fat diet. Here's the most interesting part of this trial. It was stopped early because the higher fat Mediterranean groups were doing so much better on heart outcomes that withholding that diet from the control group appeared unethical. Critically, the higher fat groups did not gain weight. Extra virgin olive oil and nuts, some of the healthiest fat sources on the planet, were part of a diet that cut cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke, and premature death by roughly 30%, with no downside on the scale. Of course, not all fat is created equal. Fried foods and highly processed fats are definitely worth limiting. But nuts, seeds, avocados, salmon, and plain Greek yogurt support fullness and heart health. They deserve a place on your plate, not a spot on your to-be-avoided list. Let's pause for a moment to hear a quick word from our sponsor. Ha! Just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Oldson, physician and founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching and the new Weight Loss Strategy Lab. At Weight Loss Strategy Lab, we teach, experiment, reflect, and explore the latest science around weight loss, longevity, habit change, and health. I bring all of this to my live weekly strategy sessions on Zoom alongside our signature courses that you can access at your convenience within the program. The biggest shift is in mindset. In the Strategy Lab, we approach weight loss like scientists, not like judges. When you get off track, and we all do, there's no judgment. Instead, we help you dissect what happened, find the learning, and create a better hypothesis for next time. You can still find the Weight Loss Strategy Lab men's and women's programs at our original site, smartweightlosscoaching.com. And we're back. Let's continue with myth number 4 out of 5 that we'll cover today, and then next week we'll tackle 6 through 10. Myth number 4, exercise is the key to weight loss. I've talked about this many times, including in episode 3 and 115. I know this one can be controversial because exercise is genuinely wonderful for your health. But if your primary goal is the number on the scale, exercise alone tends to disappoint people. And it's not because they're doing it wrong. Researcher Herman Pontzer's work on the constrained energy expenditure model helps explain why. His research on populations like the Hadza tribe, who are far more active than most of us, found their total daily energy expenditure, meaning the number of calories burned in a day, wasn't dramatically higher than sedentary Westerners' calorie burn. Our bodies seem to compensate for increased activity by quietly dialing back energy spent elsewhere. Exercise can also increase hunger, offsetting the number of calories burned. Studies reviewing exercise-only interventions for weight loss consistently find the effect on body weight to be modest at best, often just a few pounds. None of this makes exercise pointless. It's essential for heart health, muscle, metabolic health, mood, and, as we'll circle back to next week, it's one of the best predictors of whether weight loss sticks for the long term. It's just not on its own a reliable weight loss tool. Think of exercise as something you do for your health and your future, not payment for what you ate. Myth number 5. Believing it's not working when weight loss feels too slow. This might be the myth that breaks the most hearts and derails the most successful attempts at weight loss in my practice. I've I've talked about this back in episode 119 about going slow and steady and the way impatience derails more weight loss efforts than almost anything else I see. Here's the honest, balanced picture. The research on speed of weight loss and long-term success is genuinely mixed. Some studies find people who lose weight faster early on are just as likely or more likely to keep it off. Other research favors a slower pace. What the evidence agrees on far more consistently is that the behaviors that create lasting weight loss simply take longer to establish than we want. It takes time to truly build new habits, change your relationship with food, and manage your stress without turning to food to soothe yourself. Your scale might look stuck for quite a while your habits are slowly becoming permanent underneath your radar. So if you feel like it's not working, I'd ask you to look past the scale for a moment. Are you cooking more at home, sleeping better, less reactive to cravings than you were 3 months ago? Those changes often show up before the scale reflects them, and they're the very things that will keep the weight off in the long run. That's 5 myths down and 5 to go. Next week, we'll tackle motivation versus systems, protein powder, weight loss medication, tough self-talk, and what happens after you reach your goal weight. Okay, friends, it's time for your NBA, your next best action for today. This might be something you do for yourself, or it could involve sharing this episode with someone you care about who's truly stuck because they're measuring their calories as their primary weight loss tool. Take a moment and consider if any of today's myths are blocking your path to successful, sustainable weight loss, and if so, experiment with reframing that myth for yourself. Then stay patient and give it time for your myth busting to show up on the scale. You've got this. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.